and we have the same band so far. What do you know?
Okay, so we know it's going to be RekSai, Ashe, Shen are the first three, followed by
Rapid fire. Here we
Lucian, Vlad, Gragas, Tahm, Kench, and from there, that is where we will progress.
And we talked about the Tahm Kench takeaway from Unicorns. Now that you already have the Ashe. I really like H2K's draft so far. I know the analysts was talking about it. One pick we did mention, you guys might have forgotten, was Trundle as a potential pick.
And it's locked.
It is good against Tahm Kench, and it's good against like both Shen and Gragas to remove some of these tanking stats from one of them. And then all we also got to mention probably 500 times before we got back into this game.
498 actually.
Because guys, Chachi is a split pushing guy and he wants to be on a split push.
So we also put out 3 options for mid lane here. The Cassiopeia if they want the exact same matchup. They could go the Lissandra if you want pure team fight and that engage potential with the side lane control. The other one was the oddball if you want to go full EDG, the Twisted Fate. I don't think it's quite the pick that we're going to see here, but you never know with Ryu.
Does that look like a man who takes chances?
I mean, he has played Twisted Fate.
Yeah, he has. But he's done well
very successfully.
Yeah. Definitely, but again, Cassiopeia is the expected one because of Vladimir being picked, and you look at Unicorns who will once again opt into these big team fights where Cassiopeia can shine against champions.
There it is.
Like Vlad, who's running at your back line, you try and ulti here. Obviously, the ulti can also be used as a zoning tool. You don't necessarily have to hit it to land it. It's more about just the DPS studio.
Oh, yeah. All right, guys, we did it. We finished the pick and ban phase. We got the lineups all locked in.
Yes.
Successful.
Unless Cassiopeia was a troll pick.
Don't say that.
Well,
we got it, boys. We got it.
And what we've got for the Unicorns is a little bit of reliance perhaps on Veritas from the laning phase to try and snowball, but you're against the Tahm Kench, very difficult to do that. A lot of protection against the Ashe.
And you're against Forgiven, by the way.
I don't even like Lucian against Ashe, especially pre-level 6 for Lucian. I think it's very hard for him to actually win this laning phase, and he gets outscaled big time. So you have this problem if you're Unicorns of Love that you rely a lot on winning both side lanes. The Gnar against the Shen, you want to get Gnar ahead, get him to throw some out Black Cleaver, and he becomes that big bully against the Shen, but it takes quite some time to get there. And before you do that, you have to deal with a ton of hard engage, good lanes overall from H2K, and we saw how they played aggressive with the Shen ulti against that enemy 2v2 lane. Well, exactly the same can happen again once you hit level 6 on Ashe. And that's a way to fall behind if you're the Unicorns of Love.
Yeah.
Peel back the curtain.
You don't want a way to fall behind. You want a way to get yourself ahead, and they're going to have to
figure
this one out. It's difficult. It's difficult, especially after what happened in the previous game. H2K have some very similar matches for himself in the mid, especially. It's going to be different up top. Want to see what can come out from Chachi.
Well, we'll see what comes out from Chachi other than some boomerangs from the Gnar.
Quite a lot of those.
Yeah.
Maybe
like
some boulders.
So we're going. Yeah, it depends, I guess, what skin, whether it's a clock
that's
tower or ice shard or... We'll see as we get in game.
Well, you know, we've talked about what we think is going to happen. What do you guys think at home and, of course, in the stadium as well? Hashtag UOL win if you think the Unicorns are going to claw this one back. Or if H2K are going to take a 2-0 en route trying to finish off that series nice and clean. Hashtag H2K win. It's been some time. Thanks for sticking with us. We're loading on to the ref for game number 2.
Game 2, all-important one for the Unicorns to fire back with. If they can get some of this crowd control layered, allow Exileh to get damage off in team fights, perhaps we will see a bit of a turnaround. They had a bit of a team fighting composition in the last game, but H2K had their number. The early skirmishes went heavily in H2K's favor.
Definitely where H2K had a much stronger 2v2 lane that they managed to win. CS advantage for Forgiven, first tower for Forgiven as well. Not exactly the same kind of setup where it's a stompy lane on the side of H2K, but I like that 2v2 lane. I like that draft overall again. And we talked about how surprising it was that Unicorns would opt into this blue side, first pick RekSai once again. Nothing odd about first picking RekSai, but just judging from how first game went. Early trading is just Chachi trying to scare away a few people.
Fear from Jankos and Odo. There we go.
This is what we see a lot level 1 now, where it's no longer about warding up the river. It's about warding near specific camps. So trying to see, is the enemy jungler starting on top side? Is he starting on bottom side? And you can then kind of predict his pathing from where he starts.
A lot of this is all because of the timing of how long it takes you to get to red buff. If you start bot side, it shortens your gank timing off red buff. If you want to cheese gank off the 2 camps or possibly just quick 3 camps, get red and go bot, there's that possibility before Tahm Kench is really able to keep Forgiven safe. But this time they've spotted on the Grom. It's going to be a later move down to the bottom lane if they even want to go down there.
Yeah, almost every single route I see now from champions like RekSai involves getting red buff within 3 camps. So in this case, it would be Grump, Wolves for move, and then he will go do his red buff now. And the reason you want to do this is because you can then smite the first camp, and then you can smite the red buff as well. So by the time you have red buff on level 3, you're actually pretty healthy, and you now have two options. Either you can go gank, or you can continue farming. You're never really forced to go back to base. So you can see in your minimap, move is now at that red buff. He's going to use smite again, get that level 3, and then see if there's anything he can do on the map.
And the shorter pathing was one we saw from Jankos in the quarterfinals, where he started on the Wolves because his duo lane started on Krugs on blue side. So they got their level 2 a little earlier. He got down to the bottom lane early. It was all about bot lane gank.
And look now here, Move has the option to go bottom lane. Early push from H2K. No wards. This is pre-3 minutes as well. They should have... You should expect some of it.
It's gonna be it. Vander, he ate up Forgiven, but will he give his own life? The Summoner Heal comes out, 2 exhausts are down. This is gonna be it. First blood, it's going over to Veritas.
And this is what we're talking about. This is why RekSai is one of the picks that you can get these early ganks off. This is why early game junglers are so key, because your impact is already felt in this game. Jankos went blue buff because he thought Move was doing nothing on the map. His bottom lane gets punished, and now this turns everything in favor of the Unicorns.
Yeah, but H2K's bottom lane here, they need to expect this. I mean, there's no surprise in the pathing from Move. He does 2 camps into red buff, and then you show up around this 250 mark. There were 2 wards available on the side of H2K. None of them were placed towards the river. They pushed up, they reacted too late, and then you get ganked and you lose first blood, and also a lot of summoners. So great start now from Move and Unicorns of Love, and really nothing Jankos could have done in this situation. That's on the lane.
Yeah, I think the surprise here for H2K is the fact that Move was doing a solid jungle pathing. Last time, he just didn't have
Pirate,
the move. I'm sorry, man.
The family.
Yeah, well, yeah. Hey, I calls it as I sees it, but all the same, Unicorns, they pick up a first blood here. That's only the 3rd time Veritas has gotten it all split long.
Now, importantly, off that first blood, as you said, only 3rd time for Veritas, he's got the double longsword. One build that we are starting to see a couple of Lucians trend back towards, as Vander was spotted on a ward in River, is the Essence Reaver build. Reckless was talking about this. It gives you better scaling through the game because Lucian does start to fall off with the Ghostblade Black Cleaver build. That's his spike, and after that, every other AD carry starts ramping back up.
Yeah, basically, Essence Reaver Lucian is better if you're against multiple tanks. Because again, you go towards the late game, you get the last Whisper later, you don't get the flat armor penetration, the cooldown reduction helps you a lot, getting more passive attacks onto these tanks and be able to kite around. And you have a Shen and a Gragas and a Tahm Kench on the side of H2K, so that is definitely a good option. Where Ghostblade is against a lot of squishy targets, where that flat armor penetration gives you almost true damage and you can just destroy people in the mid game. Ashe on the other side, well, she goes Essence Reaver as well, so going double longsword on her first back is not terrible. You'd prefer a BF sword, but in this case, a double longsword is not the end of the world.
No, certainly not. And Unicorns, with this first blood gold they pick up for themselves, playing a little bit more confidently here, seeing what Move does next. He just sends a Praise Seeker, but he was spotted on the ward. Let's see if he tries to influence this mid matchup at all, because at the moment, it has been very, very even, but Jankos is hanging around Ryu.
Right, and I mean, now we just want to see if Move can either keep up with Jankos or be more impactful when it comes to ganking these lanes here, because you can snowball multiple of these lanes. If you are Move, you force all the summoners from Vander in the bottom lane if you want to continue ganking that. Jankos obviously did a full clear, so that's why he's a level above right now. And he's towards the bottom lane. Hylissang is going to walk the other way.
All right.
They do the ring around the rosy. Veritas and Hylissang are going to run into Jankos.
They're going to find
Actually, they're going to find him here.
Here it comes in the bush. Oh!
Oh, they know. They had a ward on
They
Vander.
stopped it.
As soon as Vander left the bush with the ward here, they're like, oh, we know he's in that bush here. Otherwise, Vander would never move because he wouldn't have vision in the first place.
Ooh, that was some Oscar-worthy acting right there. Veritas and Hylissang right back into the bottom lane, and Jankos loses some time here. It's starting to look decent for the Unicorns early game, and a lot of damage traded back and forth. Forgiven, just trying to put back on Veritas, not quite enough.
And just another small thing about that gank in the bottom lane. This is something that get mentioned quite a lot against Tahm Kench. Like, you can try and gank him pre-level 3, because normally he goes for the gray health at level 3 himself, and then he's a bit squishy before that, and that's exactly what Move did. I didn't actually get to see Van had already skilled at level 2, and he was like, okay, there's a chance to get ganked, I need that defensive option. Just wasn't enough, because Trundle Pillar obviously comes in with the RekSai knockup and the red buff. Jankos is gonna find Move.
Yep, and
move
move to sleep.
goodbye.
Just a little bit of a trade here.
This is
in
my
the jungle. But you can see how some of the early gold going over to move from that assist and, you know, has influenced his motivation here. Last game was a lot more about being a tank here. He's got a little bit more gold and probably wants to do more on the map. So he's like, Tiamat, we're going to go this route, go for that Titanic Hydra, and, you know, have more presence when it comes to his own play here. They know Chachi's going to be fairly tanky. Hylissang will be fairly tanky the later the game goes. So potentially, although Hylissang has to suffer through getting
the
eaten
troll.
now.
Yeah, Exhaust is down onto Forgiven, and Hilly has to burn his flash. Veritas is very low. Good move by Vander there.
A little bit of disrespect from Hylissang in this trade, walking so close in, getting multiple stacks and near the enemy tower as well. Your AD was already done trading. He was out of it. So Hylissang does get punished for it, have to flash, and we're looking at Jankos, obviously. You have some laners now without flash in the bottom lane, like the Trundle. That is a very easy gank once you're at level 6 for Forgiven especially, and you have the Shen ulti like H2K and their comp. They want to play around ganks near this bottom lane. When you have CC to set it up, you have a jungler who can gank after 6, you have a Shen ulti, a lot of ways to punish Hylissang, and that's where it's so bad, honestly, that he loses that flash for basically nothing. So now he is just an easy target for H2K. Forgiven just hit level 6 now. If they do return to the 2v2 lane on the side of H2K, expect them to gank that lane.
Was going to be a red buff fight, but Jankos decided it wasn't worth contesting here. Bottom lane, yeah, a little bit of trouble for Hylissang.
Okay.
Time being, as Exileh in the mid lane gets turned to stone. Is he going to be able to make it out alive? In comes Jankos with the flash. Body slam, there's the pool. Exileh's got his flash, and he used it right before the barrel.
Went for the 3-point shot and couldn't quite hit it, but got both summoners out of Exileh. That'll do for Jankos. Burned his flash for it, but Exileh now has to be very careful in this middle lane. Can't really escape too quickly from Ryu. Gone for the swiftness boots first for the second game in a row. Obviously, the amount of slows that Cassiopeia can output, very critical to be able to get yourself away from the miasma and everything else and get yourself into a safe position. So that's what Exileh's looking for with this before he goes for any primary item.
A lot of fights over the jungle buffs right here, but Ryu's not going to have too much trouble picking up his own blue after move had been chased off of it.
This might slow down everything now for H2K, honestly, because they got to use the flash from Jankos in the mid lane to try and pull off the gank against Exileh here. Yeah, Exileh used both his flashes as well, but H2K were in a prime position to try and set up a play towards a no-flash laner with an Ashe arrow. They can't do that now unless they want to try and repeat a gank on Exileh in the mid lane. He can play a bit more defensive and accept that Ryu will push him into tower, because top lane, we know Chachi's going to push against Odoamne all game long. You know, once you get that Black Cleaver especially, you really start taking over the lane, shredding through some of that armor. Odoamne continues to try and taunt Chachi on the tower, and then Chachi jumps away. Every single time.
Once into the tower while watching.
For charity, you know, be like, here. This could happen more, but...
Oh, dear.
If only.
That's the curse, right? You say he's been trying it, then you look at it, and Chachi's like, I'll just stroll in, it's okay. Ryu, however, wants to punish that flashless
yeah,
lane.
here we get the gank.
Easier to say.
Here we don't get the gank.
It's one of the vocal warm-ups.
Walking through the jungle.
Okay, decides to get a little bit of vision on here. So Chachi in Mega form still pushing Odo a little bit deep, and there was the taunt, but Chachi was out of range.
Every
time
single
for the
time. Chachi's ready to jump out.
He's got it.
It is the way to trade for it. Move is near the bottom lane, but hard for him to set up a gank now. Tahm Kench is very tanky now. He got the gray health, he has exhaust, he has heal from Ashe. It is very difficult now to actually gank and kill the bottom lane.
And we've had the confirmation. After the double long swords, it's not the Essence Reaver for Lucian, it is the Ghostblade Black Cleaver build. So that's going to give him the potency earlier on in the game. That's going to be where Unicorns are going to have his damage. They're going to rely on Exileh for later. Oh, Vander's going to eat.
Great pillar, but yeah, that's what Tahm Kench will do for you.
Jankos is snuck down behind H2K's bottom lane. Move is trying to sneak down behind them as well, just come from a different angle.
But they know he's here.
There is a ping to spot him, there's another ward to spot him move into the jungle, so they know exactly where Unicorns is on the map. They even see Exileh here.
Oh, they don't know if it was right there. The Ashe arrow comes in. Exileh a little bit low, but they're bringing Shen in. Exileh's got to get back to the safety of his own jungle. The pool. He's going to get taunted and taken out by Odoamne. Meanwhile, there's a skirmish down in River, and Unicorns are getting bopped and barreled back and forth. H2K looking for a chase here. Gnar is soon to come. It's up, but they are still on the retreat path. Chachi, that just slowed him down, to be honest. Ryu throws down all the damage, and he claims another life.
Great defensive warding from H. I almost baited you there, Stress, being like, great defensive warding, and you want to yell about the fight. I actually want to hear that instead.
It's all good. I was going to say, Unicorns thought they'd set the trap. It was actually H2K that was springing it on Unicorns. Ryu knew exactly where H2K were. And as you said, the defensive warding, Deficio, your favorite setup.
I mean, just so fun to see two guys setting that trap, you know, standing on ward, spotted Ryu, moves in like he doesn't see them, and then he just ultis on Exile, plus the arrow from Forgiven, and there's no flash in his Vlad, so it pays off that Jankos obviously traded his flash for Vladimir, able to get the kill, and now just chase. You have the Ashe volley slowing them down, you have Tahm Kench with his tongue lash as well.
And the miasma, just for good measure.
Yeah.
And while Chachi could flash shift to try and stay alive, he probably feels like he's gonna die no matter what.
That's the one time I've seen Mega Gnar not be quite so useful compared to the mini forms. So, H2K right in the driver's seat, and they're the first in the ULCS to take 100 Dragon. Go figure.
Ah, well,
I didn't know that until just now.
Good for you, H2K.
Yeah. It's a spoils of war right there, the first Ocean Drake. There will be an Infernal coming up next, actually, and that'll really, really be heavily fought over.
I mean, that's the thing you were talking about, the Mega Gnar, Mini Gnar thing. I mean, Mega Gnar is useful if you're super far ahead and you're super tanky, and then you can be in a fight.
It came out.
Or you have the rest of your team with you. On your own, not so great if you're not super fed. So, you know, it's not going to be like Vizicsacsi is going to solo these fights without getting like 5 kills.
Let's look at the top lane here, guys. They're trying to dive the two members from H2K defending.
Chachi tanking.
Okay, Jankos has moved, and they're going to try to throw him against the wall, but Jankos with that clutch barrel pushes them back, and they might just have to settle for tower.
Really nice barrel because Chachi held his ult for just a moment as he was going in. Arrow comes in.
It's not over.
Tower should be down, though.
Tower is down. That is going to result in the first tower blood, and Exile right inside of the pool does not get hit, but flashes. And it's going to be traded. Ryu, with the quick fingers, tried to get the execution.
So Unicorns did get the first tower on top lane after setting up that dive here. Gotta give some credit to Odoamne. As soon as he saw the Mega Gnar jump forward, he instant taunted Chachi so he couldn't ulti them back. And then Jankos obviously follow up with a very good ulti as well. So perfect defensive play from H2K, avoiding their death here, but they still lost the first tower. Unicorns made that aggressive move. Chachi is 50% HP, but backup is on the way. Both Move and Hylissang.
Oh, that's fun, Jankos. Clutch Brace Seeker. Move's got to be careful, though. Yeah, it is uncharacteristic of H2K to give up that first tower blood. They have pretty much secured it 90% of the time across all the playoffs. And, you know, Unicorns made a good move, got themselves some extra gold there, but they're still finding themselves a couple hundred short.
And when you look at the semifinals and now this third place game, this is actually the first time Unicorns have secured that. For the last week, pretty much. So finally getting themselves a little bit of that objective game to get things rolling. This game is roughly even on the gold. So, you know, this is a lot of work, potentially, if they want to catch up and accelerate past H2K.
Yeah, a lot of work being done by Chachi in that top lane before they got up there.
Oh, here comes Hilly.
Ryu has no flash.
The pillar down, that is a quick exhaust. Ryu, he's gonna have Odoamne getting his back. That's gonna force the flash out of Hylissang backwards. And just when you think you've got him, they've got the backup.
And while that wasn't the perfect play out of Odoamne...
Odo is interrupted trying to TP down bottom side. Veritas should get that tower.
What I was going to say is while it wouldn't be the perfect play that Odoamne wants, he's going to use both globals and be able to hold on. But because of the interrupt, now Veritas is taking down the tower. So Odoamne was just forced to use 2 global abilities. Move, what are you doing?
Oh, he was caught trying to sneak himself a blue buff, but H2K collapsing on that.
A little
Veritas, he's going way forward here, trying to take down Odoamne, who blocked a lot of those shots, leaving the minions straight into the tower. Meanwhile, up top, H2K are trying to do the same to the outer.
Very fast-paced game here. A lot of trading back and forth.
Yeah, there is. Hylissang still here, but look at Jankos. He's coming in for backup right now. Gets the body slam and bops him with the barrel. Hylissang still there. That's going to be tower up top, taken by H2K.
Yeah, all H2K is trying to do in the bottom lane is just defend the tower at first. Now they realize might be able to chase for more, not in range to land the slow on Hylissang. They back away now. Ryu has to be careful in mid. He still doesn't have flash or ghost. Move was around the mid lane, but actually didn't go for the play. He wants to go back in.
Back to the scene of the
blue
crime.
buff. Like, what happened here?
He just ulted back to mid lane after respawning. Weird play by Move to go in the enemy jungle quite that deep. He had the team around that area of the map, but they weren't with him, and that is the key difference here, is they're taking the turret already. You can hold for 2 seconds, allow Hylissang and the rest of the Unicorns to split off into the jungle and the lane, and then you at least have even numbers to get the vision to then take the blue. Trying to stretch to the turret and the blue at the same time is asking to get 3v1'd in the enemy jungle.
And a little bit sad we see that play from Move, because it was actually a fine play from Unicorns to go
Yeah.
top lane. They pushed out the bottom lane, they recalled, Forgiven returned to the bottom lane, but they'd already gone top, and Chachi were building up a big wave. He pushed into tower. At tower, he's already knocked down to like 50%. So it was a good play to just force down that tower, get the first tower gold, and only give H2K a tower in the bottom lane, but not the same bonus. And then move goes in, dies, and H2K are now still slightly ahead. Like we're talking 200 gold, 100 gold at this point. It's super even between the teams.
Very close game. 17 minutes into this one, hitting that mid-game stride. Next dragon coming up, Infernal. 40 seconds. Unicorns have the map vision for it, but there are a lot of H2K members around there, and they've been skirmishing quite well.
Yeah, and the problem for H2K in this game has been this Gnar against the Shen, always pushing Odoamne back to his tower. That's why some teams don't value Shen as like an S-tier pick, because he gets pushed to his tower so often. He gets outskilled by a lot of these picks, like a Gnar as well, who gets this easy lane. And in this game here, H2K have not been able to make proactive, aggressive plays. They've actually been reacting more with Odoamne. It's like Ryu,
there's an arrow coming.
Arrow, maybe. Here's the Shen ult to come aggressively.
Move, they knock him
no
into
way.
the team. The tongue lash right into the arrow, and Move does not know what hit him. Had to flash, still eaten up by Vander, who claims the kill, and that's straight over to Dragon.
It wasn't quite from downtown, but certainly explosive cask into the arrow. Nice little combination out from H2K is going to net them the Infernal Drake right at the worst possible time for Unicorns. They lose their jungler, now they lose the Drake, and Veritas has to be a little careful here. He cannot afford to continue pushing. Tahm Kench is here.
Oh, they're chasing him, and in comes Jankos right over the top of the wall. The gang squad just keeps on going. Exhaust is down, he flashes. The pillar was there for Hylissang to get them away, but will he just give his own life? These H2K members cannot be stopped. Ryu with the killing spree, and they take a big bite out of Hylissang, Forgiven with one of his own.
Such a good play from H2K. First getting the pick on to move with some great coordination, and then instant Tahm Kench ulti towards the mid lane from Vander and Jankos together, picking up more kills now for this team. It looked very close before, and then suddenly multiple kills for H2K.
Well, it's happening
Right,
again.
let's see if Move could actually flash anywhere. So he gets ulted. Now he was in his tunnel.
He was tunneling out. Gets caught, eaten up, chewed up, spat out, and H2K go for the Baron. But it's happening again because Ryu at 3-0-3 after this fight is on par to carry this game along with the rest of H2K. As Jankos again going over the wall is able to just land on Veritas. Couldn't quite land the miasma in time to avoid the first dash, but it's a Lucian. You're never going to be able to lock him down quite that easily. You can see in the picture-in-picture the Rift Herald has been started. As, that's the kill that Ryu picked up and finished it off with another.
Dodges the Ashe arrow too at the last second. Chachi picked that one up. H2K do not want to stop this fight. We're getting into 20 minutes into this game, still holding that lead. They've got the Dragon advantage. But this is really good for Chachi right here. He's going to give Odoamne a much harder time in the split push.
Yeah, and that's exactly why H2K wants to keep forcing these fights. They have the Ashe to force the engage. They have the Cassiopeia just dealing tons of damage. Right now, Ryu is on slightly above 12k damage dealt in this game. Exileh is sitting on 3k. Like, he's not been able to join a fight properly, so it's not his fault specifically. But Ryu is just going crazy, and Cassiopeia last game as well, he did more damage than multiple members combined from his own team, because he was like on 40k or something on his Cassiopeia, and the next was around 17, 18.
And just watch what Odoamne is doing. Bottom lane, push it out, try and drag Chachi down, because then you match global for global, and oh dear, Shen has the second one, so we can do this dance again in a minute's time. And Odoamne is just going to constantly push it out, drag the Unicorns away, and if H2K have an opening to engage with the Abyssal Voyage, with the Gragas, the Ashe Arrow, any of these things, they're going to take it.
Yeah, and this is again where we have to go back to that Lucian build. We mentioned how there were two options. Essence Reaver is the better option when you're against multiple tanks, and you need a bit more scaling as well, because right now Lucian is not your win condition. It's actually the Gnar becoming a monster, Rift Herald, and Black Cleaver, getting full control of that lane and always getting the advantage. That way, Lucian is kind of just helping the team. He's going to be a big part of team fighting, but if you go for the flat armor penetration build against Shen and Gragas, you're not going to deal a whole lot of damage.
Exactly, and the reason behind it is the maps and how the armor pen applies. With the Black Cleaver build, 6 hits is what it takes to get the total armor reduction that comes out from the Lucian. So against squishy targets, that's actually fine, because your hits are doing a lot of damage for every single one alongside it. Their armor typically doesn't play into it. But when resistances are built, to get 6 hits, you've scraped their armor down, you're doing ever so little damage. You need critical strike, plus that percentage penetration to hit often and hit hard and chunk through those tanks. That is why the two builds have very different power spikes.
Unicorns, their power spike, they're not going to have too much more the longer this game goes on in the Lucian. Exileh, they're needing him to step up and do quite a lot of damage. Chachi just wants to make that split push happen, but you can see Odoamne just keeps on running him around the map. Like you guys are saying, they're having to be drugged back towards this mid lane to defend this outer turret.
Yeah, and there's nothing you can do as Unicorns if Chachi is stuck in the mid lane. Like, he's the man who has to sit in that side lane and give you that winning lane, so you can push in that Shen to his tower and get some damage on tower, or have Chachi roam from that lane towards the mid lane when you collapse him before these fights here. It's very hard for Unicorns. Otherwise, they're trying to just siege on his tower.
Or Ryu.
Ryu is slightly out of position on the other side, but you don't have a siege comp. Like, you have a 500 range AD carry and a Vladimir. You're not going to siege a turret. You're going to fight around objectives.
Yeah, it's going to be hard, and this is exactly where H2K want to be in the lead, obviously, but when they're the ones making the decisions across the board for the game, we talked about it before, they just do so much better when they're proactive about it, and they haven't been challenged enough by the Unicorns. Now, Ryu is just becoming this beast yet again, and Move regrets his decision.
Second Infernal Drake coming up 1 minute 15. H2K could do with a little bit more vision control just around that lower river area. Obviously, they want to try and get some sense of control around the Baron as well. But a big wave being shoved up in the top side shows the AD carry, and now will allow H2K to come down across the map and sweep, because they know Veritas cannot be there in time to at least stop any kind of skirmish. So H2K suddenly have the man overlap. You can assume control of the jungle in the river, and therefore have better position on the dragon.
And Exileh trying his best here to clear the wave. As long as you can actually walk into the middle of the wave as a Vladimir, you can kill it. But if you're stuck on the tower and the wave is hitting your tower, you can't really do a whole lot against it.
You walk forward, have to pull,
yeah, have to pull, that's
health.
it, you're kind of out, and it really doesn't work for him. Ryu has been able to just set up this push in the top lane over and over, because no one can challenge him 1v1, and we know the bottom lane is the Shen versus the Gnar. So if Unicorns ever try to do anything against Ryu, Shen is going to ulti in as well and just help him. So right now H2K is in a very good position. Finding Exileh. Oh.
Nobody saw that. Just nobody remind Jankos that a lot of his home country fellows.
All right, oh, there's a pillar there, Ryu. Instantly they respond with the Shen ultimate. Stand now, you got to cancel that TP right now. It's going to finish. Chachi hops right over the wall in time. No one's gone down just yet. Jankos is going to be able to body slam away another pillar. Unicorns think they can fight this one, but I don't think that's going to happen. This is it. Veritas is not a part of this. Hylissang got nailed with the arrow, but they weren't able to collapse on this. Unicorns aren't even sure if they want to take this fight.
H2K are going to back away and cut their losses here. All they used was the Gragas ult and the Shen ult that came from it. But they got the TP from Chachi, which means we rinse and repeat. Hang on, Ryu might be caught.
Oh, Ryu, the full channel of the calling, eaten up by Vander at the last second. Move and Hilly, incredibly low. Hylissang's walked it out. Big shutdown from Move. He comes in and gets a massive unburrow. Vander's going nowhere. Odoamne's trying to flap the wall. And all of a sudden, things have turned wonky for H2K. Move claims another kill. Vander's trying to make something up, and he will get the tongue lash, but he is stopped. Hylissang just backing away, and that's the ace for Unicorn.
Unicorns don't care about the Infernal Drake. They're going for the Baron, but something very strange happened between Vander and Ryu there.
Yeah.
Vander ate Ryu when he was safe, when Ryu still had flash to get over the pillar, and then Ryu and Vander just spat Ryu out into the fight.
Yeah, this one is on Vander, honestly. Even though Ryu was out of position at first, he got a great ulti down. And when he was supposed to then sit there and kill these stunned targets, Vander ate him. Archangel was popped as well from Ryu to get that extra HP coming in, but then Vander still decided to eat him. By the time people were out of the CC, even the Shen taunt, he spits him back out. Let's see it again here. So Ryu does get out of position at first, so Hylissang gets the kill on him. Now, Vander thinks Ryu's about to die, but he just popped his Archangel. Now the CC is gone from both the Cassiopeia ulti and the Shen taunt, and then he spits Ryu back out in the face of Unicorns, and Exileh able to, of course, solo kill the AD carry. That couldn't actually have been a worse use of Devour from Vander.
Oh man,
Hilly gets the back.
That split second of, you know, Vander clearly thinks he's doing the right thing in that sense.
Yeah,
because Ryu hasn't flashed. Like, Ryu is taking a full channel of the culling and hasn't flashed over the pillar. So he's like, oh, well, I guess I'll save you then. And suddenly all of the damage goes. And however, Infernal Drake did go to H2K while we were in the replay. Baron is on the Unicorns.
Yeah, so all said and done, Unicorns find themselves in a gold lead. They do have the Baron empowerment, and they're knocking down some towers. But look at the damage they were doing in that last fight. What really started to turn it on its head, though, was when Move came in. A massive unburrow, and we're starting to see these slight communication errors that we've seen seldom, but they are there from H2K. It bit them in the behind hugely that time.
I mean, I feel like we see H2K mess up mid-game team fights almost every game they play. They didn't manage to often bounce back and then win like a late-game fight. Obviously, in this fight as well, Forgiven was on the other side of the wall, so he got singled out by Exileh.
When that started, Veritas wasn't anywhere either.
Right, but like everything just went wrong from H2K after the initial engage, where they got caught out slightly, and then Unicorns kind of didn't know what to do. They were waiting for Veritas to show up. Ryu takes a path down the river. Like, a lot of things went wrong, but really the fact that Vander wanted to save his mid laner ends up saving him. At the same time, he just stuns two guys and he's supposed to kill them.
I want to go back and see the player camera for Ryu there, because there's definitely Ryu face going on in the middle of that. Maybe that's the most animated we'd have ever seen him.
But such a huge swing. It's like game one, where it was both teams, you know, winning and losing fights, and then H2K had that one fight in mid where Ryu gets a solo kill to take Baron, and they win the game from there. Same thing just happened. Unicorns punish H2K for some mistakes on the map in one team fight only. Win that fight, get the Baron, and now get this big goal lead.
And now look at the difference. So Odoamne is doing the same thing, trying to push bot lane out. This is to delay the Unicorns push that would come after the first tower. But he's not looking to put the tower pressure down for himself. It's not a play that H2K can make right now. Vizicsacsi is a little too strong and will be able to deal with him with the Baroned up minions as well, especially there's no way Odoamne pushes for a tower. So H2K just have to wait at the Baron buff and try not to lose too much. That's why you shove the big wave back out towards the Unicorns, because they can't turn it around in time to get significant damage done.
Well, Unicorns have already knocked down a number of towers here. They've opened up quite a lot of map for themselves, and you can just see you investing in this vision, making sure they can now keep H2K's jungle lit up for their own purposes. It's going to be difficult, but H2K do have 2 Infernal Dragons. That's going to start stacking really heavily the longer the game goes on.
Yeah, always helps, but at this point, if you are H2K, once you start falling a full item behind, you don't really care about the Infernal Drake, because...
Oh, it's a massive swing.
You lost so many towers now, you lost so much gold as well, and just momentum on the map. You were the ones looking to be proactive by engaging with Ashe and then having the Shen ulti on Jankos as like your way of consistently forcing these fights on Unicorns. And now you find yourself pushed all the way back to your turrets. Exileh is sitting on 3 full completed items and a lot of damage.
Yeah, and there we go. Another knock-up move. Just knows exactly what he needs to do here. Odoamne a little bit low. Exileh, though, point-blank arrow to the face.
Wait,
and he pulls out. Jankos is right around the side. Spotted by that ward from Move.
Still dangerous position, though, to be up against. Ryu has finally regrouped with the team. He wasn't there at the beginning.
Oh, he was looking for Forgiven, who gets swallowed whole by Vander here. Ryu, he's stopped and separated from the rest of the team. He's got a Shen on, but there's Vizicsacsi. They keep chasing him. Ryu, Exileh takes him out now, and it's going to be H2K scrambling back to their own base here.
Vander will save Jankos. They only lose Ryu, but they trade mid laners. Unicorns still going to try and push this mid tower. Their wave is about to push up, and Chachi is already zoning H2K away. So this is going to be another tower going over to the Unicorns.
Ryu again, though, is a very greedy pathing here. Ends up finding himself separated from the rest of H2K. Vander had some good defensive devours this time around. But Ryu, from the side again, steps forward, gets pillared by Hylissang. Time and time again, and Unicorns find the engage and trade 1 for 1. So at first,
look at where Ryu is on the map right now. He's not running TP, so this whole engage from the Unicorns is they're trying to tempt the engage out.
But right now the minion wave is not even there, so H2K does manage to survive it. Step back, minion wave arrives, and now the threat of Jankos and Ryu on the side is enough to stop Unicorns from trying to siege on the tower. And then Ryu tries to pass through it here, get some damage on move, and a pillar from Hylissang against a champion who can't dash away from it.
That turn from Chachi
great turn. I mean, that's the key thing. Whenever you see Cassiopeia ultis, yes, it looks a lot like, he missed it again, you know, terrible use of ulti. But these players are so quick, especially now they play without any sort of ping, to just quickly turn around, because it's very easy to react when you see the animation from Cassiopeia with the ulti. You just quickly turn around, you don't get stunned. So it's more on players like Chachi here for outplaying it than it's on Ryu for straight up missing it.
Yeah, that's such a significant, just little micro move in the middle of the fight that basically changes the difference of Ryu getting killed there and Ryu actually surviving, getting away and getting the damage out. One thing that I like to see from the Unicorns, even with a couple out on the map already, is 4 pink wards down the inventory. They're looking for just always advancing vision control.
Oh boy, Ryu thought he was only dealing with Veritas, but that was not truthful. And Vander and Forgiven just deliver themselves up. There's no tower here. Jankos has to ult them out. What is going on?
It is H2K pushing too far up in the side lanes. This is what they did in their quarterfinals at times. Ryu got caught once and ended up punished for it, but they adapted back. And they're still getting chased.
There's the Ashe arrow. It's just going to stop him up for a second. Exileh, they threw down an exhaust on him. Chachi is still charging the line here. They can start pushing for inhib towers on this one. They just keep diving for it. Jankos, he's got the Shen ult on, but he's going to have to get eaten up. They just didn't time it the way they wanted to. Now the minion wave's here.
Now they had to use the Shen ult very defensively here to keep Jankos alive, and then the Devour as well. So Unicorns Olaf managed to chase. That move from Ryu is something he likes to do so often, especially when H2K is behind. He hides in a random bush, tries to get a solo kill, and then gets something for his team. This time around, it wasn't just Veritas in the bottom lane. There were multiple members from Unicorns on the way, and then it backfires. Ryu goes down, the crazy chase happens. Exileh now pulling a Ryu.
Whoa, the damage so unforgiving from this Vlad. I mean, to be expected in 2 minutes into
this.
But Exileh had to ghost his way out. Jankos, they stop him up. Low health bar from Hylissang here. Jankos is going to try to finish him off. There are super minions, and Jankos has chased quite far himself, but he does have backup. Big channel of the culling. Veritas was separated from them.
Where's the arrow?
The arrow, they dodge it out. Jankos a little bit low, gets swallowed by Vander. Ryu covering the escape. This fight just does not stop.
Move wants to try and come in from the side now, and H2K, they're low on Forgiven, low on Jankos, and that Mountain Drake is up, but at this point in the game, you don't really want to lose a 5v5 fight over a Mountain Drake.
Move is looking for a flank. Can they get this off? They know full well he's here, and they're not going to
Unicorns are giving it.
H2K have no flashes on their carries. Both Ryu, Forgiven sitting right now without flash. They can't really survive a team fight when Chachi can just jump straight at them. Exileh will have his flash in just a few seconds. He can get to the back line as well. So they have to give the Mountain Drake over to Unicorns of Love. Massive goal lead for Unicorns as well. And a very back and forth fight before here. We see the start. This is a Ryu special. Hide in that bush, try and get the solo kill. Good dodge here from Veritas, and then everyone from Unicorn show up. Instantly pick up the kill. Not in time for Vander here to cancel as well. And now you have to just start running away. Trundle is fantastic at chasing. This constant pillar on some of these slow targets. We're gonna get another big fight here, but H2K, they cannot afford losing another one. Summoner spells, Forgiven, no flash. Ryu, just a few seconds for him. Super important these carries can stay alive, because with the RekSai, with the Vladimir, with this Gnar as well, they're gonna go for that backline. And Hylissang has been great on this Trundle, been landing pillars left and right. No flash Ashe who gets a pillar behind her, well, you're not getting out.
And this is great timing as well for Unicorns. They've got a big wave built up top. Down bottom, Odoamne, yes, he can get out of there real quick, but he's forced to deal with the super minion wave down there. And Unicorns can just bait this Baron out and try to bait the Gnar. Gnar's on! Denied by Jankos! They've still caught Vander around the side, but it was only move.
And at this point, what Unicorns have done is place all of those pin cords they have and completely take away the vision control from H2K. Everywhere H2K want to come into this Baron area, there is just wards littered around. Look at the big wave that's going to die to top tower as well here. So H2K are losing gold and experience and timeout on the map as well. There's not too many options outside of Odoamne going over to collect some of it. But again, all of it is just losing control of the map, and the Unicorns, they're going to start this off.
Yeah, this is the correct move by Unicorns of Love. You keep a few members away from the Baron pit, one in the mid lane, one outside near the red buff, to kind of just tell H2K, if you want to go in and check if the Baron has been taken or not, you have to walk through us, and you also make H2K always hesitate, being like, are they on it or not? We can see 3 of them. So just smart play by Unicorns. It's very easy to 2 or 3-man Baron this late in the game. They pick it up, have the Mountain Drake even helping towards that little objective. Another Baron buff for them, and looking like a Unicorns of Love team who will even out this series. We get a 1-1. We get a BO3 then right after. But it's so tough for H2K because they were looking fine.
Whoa, arrow, they're going to look for it, and they just pinball it back and forth. Forgiven takes out Veritas, and now the tables have started to turn here. Exileh trying to pick them off in the back, but it just wasn't going to be the pillar for the escape, and that was a quick pickup by H2K.
Oh, that could have gone so much worse for Unicorns of Love, but you're an AD carry with a dash and a flash. Should never get hit by Ashe arrow, especially not this late in the game.
Whew, that
good
very
hit from
nearly.
Forgiven, though.
Good arrow. That very nearly was the turnaround that H2K were looking for, and Unicorns were not expecting. Why does it hit? Is there anything? No, actually just got hit by that. With the dash and the flash, you are right, Vizio. Yeah, straight up got
Ryu
hit.
lives through it too.
Whew, he was feeling so good firing away that calling is like, yeah, hitting Ryu, and then arrow in the face. And then you die. If you're an AD carry late game.
They did cut their losses though. You know, Unicorns, 8 kills to 8 of H2K, still controlling the map here.
That's also the stuff when you are so far ahead that you can afford like having big screw up in a fight, and then you can still disengage. The enemy team can't chase because of super minions coming in. Unicorns get another fight for sure, and they're still quite far ahead.
It does give H2K a moment to collect, push the waves back out before the Baron buff, expires, slow them down again. Next Dragon is going to be that Elder Drake, which if H2K pick up is going to have a significant impact on the team fights, because 2 Infernals and an Ocean being boosted by an Elder Drake, but that would rely on Unicorns making a mistake big enough to allow that to happen.
Yeah, at this point, Unicorns don't care about that potential Elder Drake. They're like, we are looking to continue pushing with the Baron buff, and they do get quite some damage on mid tower. It's only really Jankos here who can set up the fight together with Forgiven, but the arrow in itself, again, it's hard to hit that key target unless Veritas pulls the same play as before.
He's got calling up.
You're looking at that body slam flash from Jankos on someone like Veritas. Instant body slam flash him, knock him back. This is 6.15. Gragas has not been destroyed yet. You can actually pull off the combo.
For now, H2K are holding though. Half the health on their tower, but that will regen a little bit. Odoamne was peeking his nose in for a play, but there are minion waves building bot and top once again.
Yeah, and again, you have to be so careful if you are someone like Veritas, because there's taunt from Odoamne. There's again the body slam flash from Jankos, the arrow for Forgiven. There's no QSS on the side of Veritas. So if he does try and hit the tower, he is an easy target for these guys, and if they do manage to lock him down just once, they will continue and just kill him extremely quickly.
Sure. And that's one of the things, H2K can constantly have minions pushing towards them. Hang on.
Go Taunton. Odoamne does manage to find Chachi, but he was already in Gnar. Gets the shield on, but now they're looking for the back line. Exileh, he's chasing them off. Odo's holding in the front, but the tower is going to get cut through. No, they turn their attention away from it, over to Odoamne. Exileh takes out Forgiven in the back of it all. The tower's gone, and everything's going wrong for H2K. Health bars are melting.
Oh, Ryu's down.
Yeah, he's just going to be going. That's it. It's going in.
The game.
Unicorns, they're managing to fire back on all cylinders here, and they should be able to take it.
Oh, as long as Veritas is careful here, he can't. Exileh's tanking too much, potentially. Odoamne with the GA, hang on. Inhib is gone.
They got a lot of minions in bottom lane, a lot of minions in mid lane.
Long death timers for 39 minutes. Odoamne and Jankos would have to pull off the miracle hold here, but the Nexus turrets are already falling down. Veritas is low on health bars. They just don't care. They get the unburn, they get the knockup. Odoamne, one more hit would do it, and Exileh claims the kill credit. Last tower melted through. Jankos is going down, and this is it. Unicorns of Love will even up the series. What a game!
And what a turnaround in that fight. In the river, where Vander eats a Cassiopeia, who was out of position, obviously in the first place. Unicorns of Love aced H2K in that fight. Not a single member died on the side of Unicorns. They took the Baron. It was a massive swing. It was looking perfectly fine for H2K before that happened. But such a big mistake will always get punished, and you will always lose way more than just the 5 members. Because then towers, Barons, they will die as well.
And in that moment, the snap decision-making where Vander's like, I need to save my Cassiopeia. I have to. If we don't save Cassiopeia, this fight's over anyway. And unfortunately, Cassiopeia was safe because Ryu still had his flash and didn't really want to burn it to